part I love most is they need me more than they hate me, so they never take shots. I got everybody on safe.
Gentlemen, boys, girls, it is I, Arthur Fleck. No, I'm just playing. It is I, Josh Samuel, the greatest of the greatest. The reason I call myself the greatest is because there is simply no better title. And on the line with me, ladies and gentlemen, are two great brothers themselves. Their names are Fran and Brother Jordan Ross. Brother Jordan, man, how you been doing, brother? We missed you last Sunday.
I'm pretty good. Thanks for having me on today. Yeah, let's talk Joker.
Yes, sir. Brother Fran, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great, as always. Really happy and excited to talk about this movie.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, brothers, Joker came out, and it, wow, I was literally speechless when the movie was over. I have so much I want to say, so much that I'm not going to get to say for the sake of time, and I want you all to be able to provide your thoughts as well. Brother Jordan, I'll start with you, man. Would you say that Joker delivered as promised and then some?
Yeah, absolutely. This movie is, gosh, it's crazy. The thing I'll say is that it does not feel like a comic book movie at all. It's like the first time I think I've seen a movie based on the comic book that doesn't feel like it was based on the comic book at all, which I absolutely loved. I totally forgot I was watching the Joker, and then so when he puts on the paint and the full makeup near the end, it totally, like, it just affects you differently, and it has a different effect than any other version of the Joker. So yeah, this totally delivered.
Brother Fran, would you say that Joker delivered as promised and then some?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't that hyped for the movie. I saw that the movie was getting all those awards in Venice and all those places. But I was like, okay, I'm excited to see it, but not that much. But when people, like normal people, regular people as us, started seeing it and saying, this is the fucking movie of the year, like, I saw a lot of people who really know about cinema and who watch a lot of cinema saying that it's like top 3 of the 21st century. So seeing people that I know saying those things, I was like, okay, like this is really, really good. And yeah, I think that it really surpassed my expectations because I went to see it with high expectations, but not that high. So when it finished, I was like, those last 20-30 minutes of the movie were the best 30 minutes of cinema that I've seen in a while. No, in a long time. Like those 30 minutes were like, this is cinema. Like this is what we hope to see in every fucking movie. People will say that I'm exaggerating, but go see them again and compare it to what we get usually, and you will probably give me the reason. And I'm not talking about the MCU, okay? I'm not throwing hands at anyone, but I'm saying that there's a few movies that get you that much, like you are watching it with your mouth open, and you're like, this is cinema. Like this is making me feel so many things at the same time that is incredible. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys, man. It just really, I really appreciated a lot of the subjects that the movie touched on and how it chose to deal with them. Obviously, the big one being mental illness. You know, I've shared this in the past. I've had numerous bouts with my mother, unfortunately, in her mental state. That's a whole nother video for a whole nother day. So a lot of what it touched on is very, 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 very real as someone who's has a person dear to them that has to go through it and, you know, take medicine and things like that. I really, really like that it didn't hold back in those regards. And even with the, you know, how you know, the rich people view how they view people of a lower class or the disenfranchised people as well. And one more needs to be said about fucking Joaquin Phoenix. Again, I predicted this. I was God. I predicted this. But, you know, one more needs to be said about Joaquin Phoenix. With that said, Brother Fran, how good or great was Joaquin's performance to you, man?
I think it was the best thing about the movie. Like, his performance was what elevated the movie to what it is. I think that without this performance, the movie would have been a good movie. That's it. I mean, something different, all right. But what he did with the character was so incredibly unique. Like, I was watching the movie and I wasn't seeing Joaquin Phoenix. I was seeing Arthur Fleck. And the way his facial expressions, his way of moving, like when he climbed the stairs at the beginning of the movie, the way he has like his back going from, I mean, he was working as if he was a sack of bones. I mean, you saw him defeated, you saw him like miserable, and that is not something that you get that easy with a regular actor. And not only that, but to turn that performance and in the same movie become so loose, so liberated when he becomes the Joker, when he starts dancing and when he becomes himself, the way he talks, the way he expresses himself. I think that if that were to happen with another actor, I don't think that it would have worked the way it has worked. I think that his performance is what really carries the movie. It is what it elevates the movie.
So Joaquin was born to play Joker, in your words.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he's equally. I think he's equal in terms of how good he was with Heath Ledger. I'm not going to say that one of them is better than the other one because they are different movies, different contexts. So I'm not going to say that, but yeah, I think he's brilliant. I don't think that anyone is complaining about it.
Okay. Brother Jordan, how good or great was Joaquin's performance to you, man?
Oh, he was so amazing. There's no movie without his performance at all. Like, it's just not the same thing. And it's such a like, it's so weird that he even accepted to do this project. And I'm so happy that we got him to do this role. And it really is like nothing like he's done before. And it's
right.
And you see him, like, and if you watch his other movies, he's using tools in this that he doesn't often use in his other movies. So part of that's the physicality. Like, this is such a physical role for him. He's doing a lot of things with his body, just like his body language or how he moves around. Just even when he's not the Joker, that you don't really see him do a whole lot in other movies, except for maybe Inherent Vice. And that's super interesting to see, and not just as like as a Joker fan, but as like if you know Joaquin Phoenix, you know the roles he's taken, you've seen his movies. So yeah, he's really good, and I got to rewatch some of his other movies, but I think this might be his best role. I don't know. I have to get back to you on that, but like that's how I'm feeling now. Right now, I'm feeling like this is my favorite Joaquin Phoenix performance. Might be my favorite Joker, but I agree with what Fran said. Like, it's not better or worse than any of the others. They're all different. There's different contexts to both. But right now, I'm feeling Joaquin's my favorite right now for the time being.
Brother Jordan, I'll go to you, man. What do you think the movie said about mental illness, man?
I think I don't know what it said so much on that, but I think there's definitely excuse me. I think there's some commentary on how we perceive mental illness. In the way that like how he went to the government worker every week and he talked with her and she seemed to care, but not so much that she was, like you said, you just kind of listen to me, you don't really
hear me.
You don't hear me. How the state shuts that down, how when he goes into the when he encounters the Waynes or Alfred, they just kind of shoo him away, which is kind of understandable given their past with that family. But still, I think there's a lot going on here with how we perceive it, how we react to it. Because I don't know if I'm not. Again, I have to see the movie again. I don't know if there's a whole lot with like. I saw the effects of his illness for sure, and I saw what it did to him. And that was super interesting. I just don't know that if I don't know enough about the subject to be like, oh yeah, that's totally accurate to how this illness is or that illness is, because it's still the Joker at the end of the day.
Right.
But I did see. I'm sure there's like parallels to real life stuff, real illnesses in there. Yeah. I guess that's what I saw in it. But again, like there's so much in this movie. I was talking to a friend yesterday about it, and there's so many things even I missed. There's so many things that he missed that we were just talking about. So like, it's one of those movies that benefits from multiple viewings. So
For sure.
ask me again after I see it a third time, and I'm just gonna look out for that stuff more.
Brother Fran, what do you think the movie said about mental illness?
Well, I mean, I can kind of talk. I'm not going to say with authority because I'm not a psychologist yet. I'm a student in psychology. I'm on my second year, and my brother is a psychologist, so he knows more about it. And we talked about how the movie portrayed the mental illnesses and everything. And from my point of view, I think that it does a great job. I mean, there were some things. I'm studying psychology. No, I'm not a psychiatrist, so I'm not going to be able to give anyone medication. But the fact that he took seven different pills is not that realistic. Like almost, I don't think that anyone can take 7 pills without dying or having a severe mental problem. But that's not the issue. I think that the movie really does a great job in terms of how the medication might not work, because he's taking it and he's just going downfall. He's not. His life is not going any better. His mental health is not doing any better. The way he thinks, the way he behaves, the way he freezes in points of extreme danger. I really like that too, and I think that I didn't diagnose him. Of course, I don't know yet how to do those things, and I'm not going to risk even doing it. But I think that transformation into Joker really comes into play because he at the almost end of the movie, when he kills his friend, he says that he stopped taking his medication. So I think that maybe because he stopped taking that medication, there are some side effects of stopping taking them. Sorry, where you. It's so strange. I know that maybe some people don't really understand it, but when you stop taking your mental illness or your antidepressants and things like that, it's not just like, oh no, I feel sadder now, or maybe I'm a little bit less energetic. No, it makes you feel different things. It makes you behave differently. So maybe one of the side effects that it gets to him is I don't really know how to say it in English. It's like the grandiose of the persona, like suddenly I'm the best person in the world, and the most interesting. I am the best at everything in the world. So maybe one of the root problems that he had was that he wasn't able to express that side of him. So when he stopped taking the medication, that with the root problem and the side effects of the medication, it really made him behave like if he was the best. And inside of him, he was like, I am the best now. I am free. I am the Joker. I am like, I can dance in the streets because I don't even care. I am the best at everything. That's what I feel. And again, I don't know if I am in the right here. It's just my impression. I'm not saying that this is exactly what happened to him. But yeah, to close, I think that the way they showed the mental illnesses and the way he behaved and the way he perceived his surroundings, the way people perceived him, was extremely accurate. And I'm thankful for the movie to take it, to make it in such a right way.
Mm.
Fuck, I talked like too much.
No, it's good. It's just a lot to take in, man. It's just a lot to take in. With Thomas Wayne, brother Frank, I'll start with you. He obviously represented the elite, you know, the wealthy that, you know, we see now with, especially, obviously, I'm just going to say him number 45. I don't call him Donald Trump. I don't call him president, but that's another topic for another day. He's the wealthy that tries to look good for the public, tries to look like, you know, a hero for the cameras. But as evidenced in the movie, Thomas Wayne really doesn't give a shit about the disenfranchised or the poor. What did you think about Thomas Wayne in this film, brother Frank?
Well, I think that they made him behave as any other rich man in in terms of cinema. Yeah, like if you search for evil rich man in cinema, you get Bruce Wayne in this movie. But I don't know. I think that they changed him a bit because Thomas Wayne, for example, in Batman Begins, he was a rich man, but he was doing so many things for the city. Like he made the train thingy, and he was pushing to get the city to a better state. So I think that in this movie, for the context of the movie, they took him in a way that wasn't that much of a Thomas Wayne, but in a way of the typical rich bad guy. So I am not going to say that I didn't like it. I just felt indifferent to it. Like I was like, maybe, I mean, for the context of the movie, it's okay, but I don't think that Thomas Wayne is this. I'm going to be good in front of the cameras, and then I'm not going to do anything for the people, because in the past iterations of the character, we've seen that he really cares about the people in the city.
True. Brother Jordan, what did you think about Thomas Wayne and Joker?
I think it's really interesting because I noticed this, again, seeing the movie twice, is Thomas Wayne, like a lot of other characters or moments in the movie, they can be perceived two different ways. So the first time I saw it, I was like, oh man, he's a dick. And I kind of wish that, because I remember Alec Baldwin was supposed to play him, but then he dropped out, and that totally would have hammered on like the Trump kind of ness of that character, because, you know, he plays him on SNL and stuff. And I kind of was curious to see that, and it's like, yeah, that would have been cool. And then I saw it the second time I watched it. I was watching it more from, I guess, knowing where Arthur was going to go, and knowing kind of that. Are we doing spoilers, actually? I should check before.
Yeah, I think we are.
Yeah, it's fine. Go ahead.
I said so.
Okay, spoiler alert. Knowing that Arthur actually isn't related to the Waynes, knowing that his mom was just, you know, a crazy lady who happened to work for the Waynes, knowing kind of like all the details and what's really happening, not kind of thinking, oh, is he his dad? Knowing, and knowing that this dude just showed up and stuck his fingers in Bruce Wayne's mouth and choked out Alfred. Like, I was like, damn. Like, I understand why Thomas Wayne was so pissed off in that bathroom scene. Maybe that doesn't justify kind of his indifference towards some of his mentally ill workers in the past. Maybe that doesn't justify kind of his other attitudes here and there. But I think he was absolutely kind of... I totally saw where he was coming from in that bathroom scene, where he just punches out Arthur. Because it's like, dude, you showed up to my house. You put your filthy fingers in my son's mouth. You choked my butler and my friend. Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
And it's... So... But again, like, if you're watching it from Arthur's point of view in the movie, you're like, dude, I just showed up. I just wanted to talk to you. No one is giving me a time of day. I just want to speak. I want to talk a little bit. Just listen to me, and no one's listening to him. And so, I think that's really interesting. So, like, you can totally see the scenes or the moments or the characters from Arthur's perspective, and then kind of a third person perspective, or even like Thomas Wayne's perspective and that kind of thing. So I think that's really interesting. Yeah, and I think that's kind of a great kind of clue that this works really well, because like other great shows or movies, I think it's awesome that you can have two different totally valid kind of perspectives on a character or a moment, and it still works and it doesn't take anything away from it. So yeah, I liked it a lot.
That's interesting that you said that, man. Obviously you both seen the film. Hopefully everybody listening has, but if not, go see it. We see moments in the film where you're meant to sympathize. What the fuck? Where you're meant to sympathize with. Sorry, I got a notification that wasn't supposed to happen. Where you're meant to sympathize with Arthur, and you see, how he's just looking anywhere he can for somebody to just listen to him, or just be a friend to him, and everyone around him is just kind of just shunning him, and really all he has is his mother until he doesn't. And I think ultimately a lot of this, including the incident that you just described, Brother Jordan, in the bathroom with Thomas Wayne, really kind of added more fuel to the fire, so to speak. With that said, Brother Jordan, how do you see Joker the movie as being relevant to our society now? Because you both have, well, we all three have seen on Twitter, people, whether it's, oh, this is going to give birth to more Ku Klux Klan members, oh, more mass shootings, oh my God, this movie does not need to be existed. What? How do you see the movie Joker being relevant to our society now, Brother Jordan? And then I get to you, Brother Frank.
Gosh, I don't understand, like, why people try to argue that. Like, I'm sorry, but there's a movie called Taxi Driver. There's a movie called King of Comedy. There's, like, go back even further. There's much more, like, quote unquote harmful movies, so to speak. There's, like, have they ever heard of Clockwork Orange? I mean, there's some movies about some really, like, terrible people.
Right.
And those movies don't, they're not like saying go out and do the stuff. They're just saying, hey, look at these terrible people. This is a story that we're telling.
Yeah.
They're like acting like this movie is like Birth of a Nation, or it's like one of Leni Riefenstahl's Hitler movies that she made. It's like, no, this isn't. God. It's about a villain and how he became a villain.
The end.
Yeah. I mean, what does this say? How relevant is this? I mean, I think you guys, and we've touched on it pretty well. Like, it's about how there's a couple things going here. There's issues of class. There's issues of mental illness and how we perceive those issues. But it's also just a character study about one guy. Like, just because this happens to Arthur Fleck, it doesn't mean it's going to happen to other people. Yeah, people might go through similar experiences and react similarly, but like, I think the movie did a good job at saying, like, it wasn't just mental illness. It wasn't just, like, because he was poor. It wasn't just because of this or that. I think there was a lot of things at play going on with Joker, and it helped us maybe. I wouldn't even say sympathize. I'm sure we sympathize with him as points, just in general. But I think it helps us understand what would make someone do things like this. It's like talking about, like, a school shooter, or like talking about someone else who goes out and does something horrible. I think if this movie was about, like, I'm trying to, like the dude who shot the movie theater, or like the Columbine shooters, or something else, where it was kind of like, I think that might have felt a little bit too real. But this was removed enough because you got to remember, this is just, it's just comic book character. It's a villain. It's the Joker. Like, at the end of the day, it's like, it's a total work of fiction, but treating it as like as if he was a real guy, a real person, totally realistic. That's really interesting. That's a cool take to have. And I'm not saying we should make movies on bad people or anything like that, but it's just like, I think it's just a movie. Like, at the end of the day, it's just a movie. Like, and there's more harmful movies that have been made in the past with actively horrible messages, and there's also movies that I think are about more horrible people in the world, and it's like, it's just, it's a movie. That's not going to make someone do something. Like, I don't know. like that's what made Christopher Columbus go back and like screw over all the natives. Like, he saw a Joker or he saw a movie. You know what I mean? Like, people have always been pretty terrible. So it's not, movies aren't gonna, movies won't, change that.
Brother Fran, I'm ready to laugh, so go, please.
I mean, I mostly have the same opinion as Jordan. Like as we said in our last video, like, my title of the video is Joker is just a movie. Maybe you can empathize more with him. Maybe you can see yourself kind of reflected on him. I don't know in what degree, but no one that has common sense is going to say, "Oh, I suffer from a mental illness. The solution is to dress as a clown and start killing people."
Exactly.
It's like, no, okay. And if you even remotely think about that, it's not the Joker is not the problem. The problem is what you have inside of your head. Because if it wasn't Joker, it was going to be something else. So don't blame the movie. And I don't know. I mean, people are so hungry and so they are carving for something really bad to happen. Like what I've seen this video these days in the media, it's like they are waiting it for to happen to say, see, we were right. We were telling everyone that this is what's going to happen. Every day, the CNN, and even in Spain, like the cinema magazines and everything on Twitter, they are all the time saying the FBI is monitoring threats and the CIA is monitoring threats, and they had to close down some theaters in LA because of some threats. And every time, all the time, major news outlets are saying things like that. So I think that they are just craving for it. They just want to be right. And I don't know.
They need a story.
Yeah, I mean, they just need to write about it. And I'm so happy that nothing has happened. First of all, because it will be a tragedy, not only for cinema or media, like some innocent people will die. So I'm really happy that no one has been stupid enough to do something as bad as that. And in the other hand, to prove media that you can't win all the time by manipulating information and bringing fear in the hearts of people who just want to see a movie which they think it's going to be cool. So I'm really happy about that. And I don't know, like, who watches this movie and goes out like, yeah, the solution to mental illnesses is to kill some innocent people. Oh shit, I got it. I am better than Freud. I am better than anybody. This is the perfect solution. Fuck therapy, fuck everything. I'm going to kill some people, and that's it. I don't know. I mean, it seems so stupid that... I mean, it's just 2019.
Oh, man.
Nothing surprises me anymore. But... whatever, I guess.
Oh, my God.
I mean, we are winning. That's the good thing. Nothing has happened. The media outlets are fucking crazy all the time, writing articles and things like that. And I don't know. I guess the incels won or something like that.
I'm just curious, bro. If Thanos got a solo movie, what would the messages from the media be, man? I'm just so curious.
Thanos was right, and here's why.
Yeah, I mean, and you don't even need his standalone film. When Infinity War came out, every single media outlet was agreeing with him.
Yeah.
Like, I read articles saying Thanos is right, Thanos' plan is a bad plan, but it is right. And it's like, yo, you look like if you were justifying Hitler. It's like, oh, well, I don't know, maybe his way of doing things is not that good, but I think that his end goal is really good. It's like, what? Okay. And when Joker comes out, when he doesn't purposes, I mean, he doesn't say, like, I'm going to kill all these people, so I'm going to be cured of my mental illness. He doesn't say anything like that. It's just a humanist movie that shows you a broken man who becomes something horrible, but at the same time something that liberates him. And that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, even in the movie, he says that he's not political. With the whole kill the rich movement and everything, even in the movie, he says, this is not political, I don't care about politics or anything like that. So, where's the issue? This is just the story of a man. That's it. I didn't watch John Wick and wanted to become a mercenary who killed 300 guys with my 9mm pistols riding a horse. Like, I don't know. The fact that we have to explain this thing to adults really frightens me. Because these people are the ones who are voting and telling you who to vote, and they can't even differentiate a fictional character from real life. So...
And it's not like the movie is like saying, like, it's not like we're supposed to be rooting for him. We're supposed to be watching this horrified, being like, oh my gosh. We're not supposed to be like, yeah, Joker, kill all those people. Like, we're not supposed to root for him. We're supposed to be horrified by it.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, that is true.
And like, there's just the discussions from all the articles, all the news outlets leading up to the movie has just been like gross. It's been like 3 days till Joker comes out. I hope everybody's safe in the theater. I hope no one shoots up a theater. And then the Joker comes out. It's been a day since the Joker is released. You know, no one's shot up a theater yet. For now, we are all safe. It's like so gross and like just sensationalizing like a tragedy that could happen, but probably won't happen. You know? And it's just like so gross the way people were reacting to it. Like John Wick's a perfect example. Like a few months ago, John Wick 3's out, and it's like kills 300 people. He kills a dude with a book, but you don't see people like rioting saying we need to ban books from schools because there could be a John Wick character out there with like hurting people. It's like totally ridiculous. And I don't know where people. I mean, I don't know anybody in real life who's talking about this too. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet this is like a minority of like really loud people on the internet. Because, you know, we see all these articles and we see everybody seems to talk about on Twitter. And I think what we got to remember is it's not everybody. It's a select few, a vocal minority who are making a very big noise. And I think if you just keep that in mind, and news outlets are always going to sensationalize everything. So they're seeing these loud kind of idiots on Twitter and stuff, and they're like, ooh, this is content that we can run because people will listen to that. I think if we just keep that in mind, I think there's absolutely Joker controversy. There's absolutely a big discussion going on, but I don't think it's as big as we think, because I'm sure when you guys went, as when I did, the theater was packed. You heard people clap. You heard people like really enjoy the movie. You heard people talking about it. You know, you've talked to people who are like, yeah, I can't wait to see it, or like, that movie was awesome. And that's like the people that like, that's probably more representative of of the audience than a few like blue check marks who are like, Joker is evil and it's like a dangerous movie and that kind of thing. So yeah. I hate people sometimes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brother Fran and Brother Jordan have just gone the absolute fuck off. Give them a hand. Woohoo! All right.
Yeah!
Brother,
go.
Brother Jordan, I'll go to you, man. What did you think about the music and the cinematography? Because especially toward the end, for me, I just loved I felt the music was really helping the fucking the entire third act, I was like, God damn, I was speechless, man. I was literally speechless. When I left the theater, I was speechless, man. What did you think about the music and the cinematography, man?
So good. It was the music was as it was as much a character as like anybody else in the movie. I've been listening to it like nonstop. When I hear it, it's so weird because it's like I would not have thought like the choices that she made for Joker, like for the score, I wouldn't have like thought of that would have naturally fit, but it does, and it works really great because it's super like almost like operatic. Like there's a lot of I would have thought that the score would have been something like maybe like Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, kind of like what they've done for David Fincher movies and stuff like that, like kind of minimalist, kind of electronic, that kind of thing. But the score for Joker is like super like, gosh, I don't even know how to describe. I'm not a big music person, but like it's big and it goes in a like total different direction than what I was thinking, and it's super haunting and beautiful, and it makes some of those scenes like work really well. When you see like him in the bathroom dancing, and we hear that score going on, I think that's his main theme that we hear. It's just so beautiful. It's so gorgeous. It works so well, and the cinematography too. I was talking to my cinematographer friend, and he's like, that movie is so like amazing. Like how it looks, how it was shot. It just looks, it doesn't look like a comic book movie, which we've already established. Like this is not a comic book movie.
Right.
And B, it's just so gorgeous. Like all the color tones, the shots they used, it's great. Like everything around this movie technically is just so well done. And I'm sure. I mean, I think I'm giving people too much credit if I say this, but I will say it. I think even detractors of the movie could look at the score or listen to the score and look at the images and be like, yeah, that's really well made. But that might be giving some people too much credit. But, on a technical level, this movie is, like, incredible. It's absolutely amazing.
So, Brother Fran, man, what did you think about the music and the cinematography, man?
Well, I mean, the Arthur's theme was fantastic. It created so much tension. It reminded me of a horror film. And also, I must say that the choice of getting external music that is not part of the score in, like the music that starts playing when he becomes the Joker and he's dancing in the stairs, that's like a great fucking choice for that scene. And when he's in the cop car, that song too, I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of it. They were excellent choices, but the score, man, like that score, which I said on Twitter, really reminded me of the North theme in Game of Thrones. I don't know if you guys know what it is. Oh fuck, I don't know how to speak.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, you're totally right. It sounds so similar.
Yeah, like the North theme. I mean, some of the themes in Game of Thrones too, but the North theme and that theme for me, when I was in the theater, I was like, wait, this is the same theme or something? Like the violins and everything felt quite the same. And I mean the cinematography, fucking A. Like everything looked exactly as it was supposed to look. Everything looked so dark, so gritty. The greens were like messy greens. They were like filthy greens. Everything was like so filthy. You really felt like the city was a character in the film because of the way that the movie was shot. And I don't know, I remember walking out of the theater with my brother and my friend saying there were some shots there that they are like cinema history. Like when he's prepared to get into the show with Murray and he's smoking, like that blue shot of him smoking was perfect. When he catches the camera, I think that was a reference to Heath's Joker, but I'm not that sure. When he picks up the camera and he says, "Always remember to," and they cut him. Like there were some shots there that were, oh my god, like poetic cinema. If from the meme, I know that some people will get it. The meme of poetic cinema. I was in the theater thinking about it. Like, oh my god, some of the shots of this film, and accompanied with the score, like the bathroom scene, like fucking a. Like it's a brilliant cinematography, brilliant score. It was amazing.
Brother, go ahead, bro.
I think you summed up why the music at times felt very Game of Thrones, which was such an interesting choice for the movie, and I think it made everything feel really big, really grand, really epic, in a way that I wouldn't have expected the score to go. So yeah, that's a great point that you made, Fran.
I'm happy that I'm not alone in it, because they were like so similar that I was shocked. I'm not saying it's a copy or anything like that. It just reminded me of it.
Brother Jordan, and you touched on this earlier, how do you feel Joker differentiates itself as a comic book movie as a whole?
Oh gosh, what is it? I mean, it's so hard to put into words. I think some of my rambling thoughts on this. I mean, we're at a point where the movie market is so I wouldn't even say oversaturated, but just saturated with comic book movies and comic book media. We're at this point where we're seeing, we've seen, tons of different versions of the Joker and Batman, tons of versions of Superman, tons of versions of different heroes, and we're going to see this for a long. And this is a movie that kind of felt like it really transcended the genre of comic book movies and things like that. So, and part of that is kind of the formal techniques that they use, the score, the cinematography, everything. But I think a main reason is also the script, because it really doesn't feel like a comic book movie. It feels like they didn't acknowledge any other comic book movie. They didn't make a huge kind of reference to Batman or the Joker. Aside from obviously it's the Joker, but it feels like someone read a comic book and they're like, hey, this Joker character, he'd make a really interesting movie, and they just made it without kind of thinking about the comic book genre. They just kind of treated the Joker like a real person, as if he really existed. If I think I was telling this to a friend. If the Joker really existed and was really terrorizing people out there, and Gotham was a real place, and say 10 or 20 years, or in the 80s, this dude named the Joker went on TV and shot a talk show host, this is the movie that Hollywood would make about him. As if, the same way that Hollywood has made movies on Ted Bundy and the Zodiac Killer and stuff like that. This is like that, if that makes sense. If the Joker really existed, this is a movie that Hollywood makes, saying, hey, let's find out how this crazy dude, went out and did these horrible things. It's kind of like that. And I know I'm kind of rambling, and there's not I don't have a really strong thesis, but, it just doesn't feel like a comic book movie. Just the way it's shot, the way it's written, the way it's directed, all that. You really do forget that you're watching the Joker until he puts on the costume, and then you're like, oh my gosh, it's the Joker. So yeah, I think that answers your question, or at least the best way I can.
Brother Fran, man, how do you feel Joker differentiates itself as a comic book movie, man?
Well, I mean, I saw something that Todd Phillips said, that to try and convince Joaquin Phoenix to get on the project, he said that he was going to hide a drama of a character, a humanistic film, and hide it as a comic book movie, so the studio would say yes and give them the money to do it. So I think that it just breathes drama. The film is not a comic book movie in any way. I mean, in the way of the movie is called Joker and it has the Joker in it, but that's it. Like the rest of the film has nothing to do with comics. It's just the journey of a man into madness, and the journey of a man into a transformation from being this Picton guy to becoming what he believes is really him, which I don't think he is. But I mean, between all the trauma and everything that happens in his life, he says that I thought that my life was a tragedy, and now I realize that it's a comedy. So the Joker is supposed to be what he really is. I think that that's not true, but whatever. But I don't. I really. It's not that it is different from any comic book movie, but it's different from any film that I've seen recently. Like you see it and you're like, this is different. I like it. The score is different. It makes me unsettled. The violence is completely graphic. The themes that it talks about is something that not it's not that usual to talk about, and not in this way. So I think that it is so different from any other film or any other comic book film, and it is so great. I mean, it is so great that we have this movie, because this is the proof, the achievement of saying you can make different kind of superhero movies out of the genre, out of the Marvel formula, out of the DC formula, and make them work, and not only make them work, making truly works of art.
Mm.
That's how I think that it really differentiates itself. And as we talked in some other videos, it really opens the door for films that have the same tone, R-rated films that are as good as this one.
Yeah, it's definitely a distinct movie, and my hope, and I truly believe that WB keeps making these kind of movies, whatever they're doing, with the main ones, whether it's Wonder Woman 84, the Batman, the Suicide Squad, no one wants to see, and all the other ones, whatever they do with that, I hope that DC Black, or whatever they choose to call it, definitely becomes a thing, because they definitely have something there, and they definitely can make more movies like Joker. Brother Fran, man, I'll start with you, because this is something we've all gone over multiple times, but I just want to give you an opportunity to, tell the audience listening, were you ever in fear while watching Joker at your theater?
Well, I'm going to tell an anecdote that I had this second viewing when I went alone.
Mm-hmm.
So I went alone, and the theater was packed, and I was like, okay, whatever. And I, of course, have read everything about, oh my god, there's going to be this mass shooter and he's going to kill everybody watching Joker. So I was like, this is bullshit and whatever. So I was sitting down, and there was this bald guy right in front of me, and he was supposedly sitting in some other girl's place. So her friends started to say, excuse me, mister, you're in the wrong place. I paid for this seat, please move. And he didn't respond. He just kept on watching the film. And the guys were like waving their hands in front of them, in front of his eyes, and they were like, "Hey, excuse me, sir, I paid for the seat. Please move." And he didn't even flinch. He just kept on watching the movie. So I was like, "Okay, this is weird. Nothing to really worry about." But then I saw a big black bag, and I was like, "Okay, now I have." I mean, I wasn't scared, but it's one of those situations where you just are in alert position, like the instincts kick in, and you're like trying to see what's going on. And then when there was like 20 minutes left of the movie, he just standed up, took his black bag, which was enormous. I don't even know what he had inside of it. He just stands up and goes and sit at the at the gate of the cinema. He just sits there and starts watching the last 20 minutes of the film. So in my really intelligent mind, I thought that he was going to start shooting as we came out of the theater. I mean, I know nothing happened, obviously, but it was so strange. Like, he was behaving so extremely like maybe he was antisocial or something like that, but his behavior was so strange that when I saw him with that big black bag, just almost at the gate to leave the theater, and he was just. I mean, if you wanted to leave, you needed to go through him. So I was like, okay, something's about to go down, but hopefully, I mean, not hopefully, like nothing went down, which I'm grateful for. But I must say that with all the fear that the media has kind of put into us, I was a little bit concerned, like this guy's it's going to become crazy and do something stupid. So.
Damn. Well, thank God nothing happened to you, brother, and thank God that guy didn't do anything crazy. And I don't know, man. Hopefully, if something, if he has some issues, hopefully he gets the proper help. Brother Jordan, were you ever in fear of your life while watching Joker at your movie theater?
Nope, not at all. Yeah, in fact, like that's yeah. I have nothing. I have nothing. Like it was fine. It was a normal experience. Nothing happened. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. And same here, man. It was just the movie. It was 2 hours. 2 hours of Joaquin Phoenix and Zazie Beetz. Speaking of, I got some cocoa butter on the dresser. But what did you guys think of Zazie Beetz' character, brother Jordan? I'll go with you, man.
Well, when the first time they speak, like I think it's after he's followed her around for the day, and then she shows up on his door and she's like, "Were you following me?" And then they start a relationship. I was like, okay, that's really weird. Maybe they're closer friends than we've seen.
Right.
And then, of course, she's there. She's with them a whole bunch. And then it's revealed that Joker isn't. He imagined the whole relationship, and the only time they've really interacted was just in the hallway in the elevator.
Right.
And so I think that's such a great kind of twist. Because obviously, I'm sure they could have made the relationship work if they really wanted to, but you see it when you see it again, you realize, oh no, Joker's totally imagining this because the thing she's saying stuff like, "Whoever killed those 3 people is a hero. You're so funny, Arthur." It's like, oh my gosh, yeah, he's totally fantasizing this. She doesn't sound like a real human being. She sounds like a his personal kind of like his ideal girlfriend or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, like that worked really well because something did
Feel slightly off about her role the first time you see it, and then it's revealed that
Arthur was imagining the whole thing. Then the whole thing makes so much sense, and it just hammers in how delusional he is, which is great. And I'm curious because I've been watching interviews with Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix and Zazie Beetz and everybody, and I remember seeing Todd and Zazie talk about how that Sophie's role changed a whole bunch while they were shooting. When they started shooting, it was something else, and I'm really curious to read the script or kind of know more about what the original plan was for that character. But like how she was used was totally effective for
for the story. Worked great.
Gotcha. Brother Fran, what did you think about Zazie Beetz' character, man?
Well, I think that it was a great addition to the film, and the twist, as Jordan said, when it is revealed that they weren't dating or anything like that. I mean, that took me completely out of place. Like, I wasn't expecting that at all. But I don't know, maybe I think that they could have given her a bigger role in the film. Like, you see her, along all the film, but you don't really feel like she's in there that much. And I think that it would have been great to see a little bit more of their relationship. But I mean, overall, yeah, I think that she was great. I loved the little Easter egg or reference to Taxi Driver when they are in the elevator and she points her fingers to her head and goes like that's exactly the same as Taxi Driver. And I don't know, I think that was great. And her reaction when Arthur comes into her apartment and she's like, "Who are you?" and all that stuff. You're like out of place. Like, wait, what did she say? And then all the montage and everything. I don't know. I think that she was great, but I would have loved to see more of her.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Not just for the obvious reasons. Moving on, brothers. Fran, we're about to close this portion. What are your final thoughts on the movie, man? What would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10?
Out of 10, probably a 9.5 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty high. I don't think it's a 10 out of 10 because I don't think such a movie exists. But I don't know. It's something that we have to be grateful about because in this modern age of cinema, it's not usually the kind of films that you see. Like this film is so out of everything. Like it's so different from anything that has come out in these years. So I think that is an achievement for cinema. I think it's an achievement for comic book films, and I think that it will be remembered as a masterpiece or a classic or whatever you want to call it in the years to come. I think that people are going to come to this film as they come to Taxi Driver or The King of Comedy. I think that it is in that level. Like people in the future are going to call back to this film a lot. And please give the Oscar to Joaquin Phoenix. Thank you.
Yes.
Like I know that Leonardo DiCaprio was great in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but I mean what Joaquin did in this film is absolutely incredible.
I agree. Brother Jordan, man, what are your final thoughts and rating for Joker on a scale of 1 to 10, man?
For me, I would probably say 8 or 9.
Mm-hmm.
8.5, 9, something like that. For me, I reserve the 10 rating for like those are my all-time favorite movies of all time. A 10 rating is more or less like my personal preference for like, oh, that's the greatest movie ever. So I'd say it's high up there for me, like 8.5 or 9. I really really enjoyed it. The first time I saw it, I mean, I was blown away, but I was expecting something different, of course. And then I saw it again, and I as much as I loved it the first time, I loved it even more the second time. And it's a movie that I can't wait to rewatch. I haven't stopped thinking about it. I haven't stopped listening to the score. It's super. I love it. And by this point, I'm just echoing what's already been said. I'm just one guy. This is just my opinion. So if you've listened to this and you haven't seen it, please go watch it, form your own opinion, because, I think you might really enjoy it. Because I think it's a really good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I got you. Well,